The history of psychoprophylaxis in Mexico. In order to give an overview of this incredible field of work in Mexico, I want to state first that this is a brief story and I apologize in advance because I will probably fail to mention people that I had not known but have certainly helped to educate those of us who work as childbirth educators. As far as I know, psychoprophylaxis practice started about 60 years ago with Dr. Fedor Stefanovic in the Central Military Hospital. He was the initiator of the psychoprophylactic method in Mexico, and I have met patients who had referred their experiences with him and his outstanding personality. During the 60s, Dr. Egil Stoppen, a courageous woman who was deeply cultivated on the principles of psychoprophylaxis and trusted its methods, opened the path for the practice of perinatal instructors within the hospitals, where the presence of the husband was forbidden. Dr. Stoppen was on the vanguard. She defied several medical peers who disliked psychoprophylaxis delivery techniques. 17 years later, the Mexican Association of Psychoprophylaxis and Obstetrics, ANIPP, was created in 1971 by Dr. Raúl Fuertes Calvo, Dr. Guillermo Santibáñez, Dr. Teófilo García, Dr. René Bailón, Dr. Eduardo González Sicilia, Dr. Jorge Cunjar, Dr. José Antonio Crespo, and by childbirth educators such as Angélica Chávez, América Mus, Raquel Mins, Vivi and Luchi Weisman, Guadalupe Trueba, María Elena Etienne, Fina Díaz, Guillermina Tort, Laura Cao, Nara Trejo, Elena Carrillo, María Luisa Arroyo, Cristina Morales, Linda Peláez, Lourdes Guerrero, Jackie Iniesta, Lidia Murray, Tony González, y Mireille Stoppen. For many years, ANIPP grew with the enthusiastic strength of medical doctors and perinatal instructors who organized the certified training of many groups of childbirth educators in the cities of Guadalajara, Morelia, and Mexico. ANIPP also carried out solutions for its main challenge, the need to reconcile psychoprophylaxis trainers with medical doctors and with hospital interests. Due to many reasons, formal training courses were suspended for several years. However, the lack of a certified training course did not mirror the practice of psychoprophylaxis delivery in Mexico, because those of us who wanted to become childbirth educators turned into apprentices of our own mentors, observing their classes and attending women in labor and deliveries. The first center of psychoprophylaxis in Mexico was created in the late 70s in the public Hospital Maximino Ávila Camacho. I was fortunate to get trained in that institution, where instruction was headed by Dr. Guillermo Santibáñez, who was my teacher, and it is fair to emphasize the support of the director of the hospital at that time, Dr. Pérez Salazar, and Dr. Cunjar, for they allowed me to teach and train women patients during 3 years. 3 other public institutions later established psychoprophylaxis centers: the National Institute of Perinatology, the Gynecology Clinic No. 3 of the Mexican Institute of Social Security, followed by Hospital Primero de Octubre on the Institute of Social Security for State Workers, then directed by Dr. Sergio Villalobos. The first private institution that welcomed and encouraged in its midst a psychoprophylaxis center was the Hospital Español, shortly followed by other private hospitals in Guadalajara, Monterrey, second and third largest cities in the country. For their many years working hard for perinatal education in Guadalajara, Carolina Quintana and the Asociación Jalisciense de Psychoprophylaxis need to be specially recognized as the great job of Dr. Lavalle, Lupita Centeno, Paulina González, and Eli Cholo in Monterrey, and the dedication of instructors such as Jackie Iniesta and Marilena Sandoval in Cuernavaca, Cristina Quintero and Guadalupe Bustamante en Querétaro, Meli Manzano y María Clara Gutiérrez en Morelia. During the 80s, the ANIPP organized 2 international courses. One of them was updated about modern methods of delivery care, chaired by Dr. Santibáñez, and the other gave emphasis to scientific basis of care during labor. An internationally recognized medical doctor, Calderio Barcia, participated as a keynote speaker on the second international course. In November of 1983, the ANPO, then directed by Dr. José Antonio Crespo Pozuelo, organized the first national conference of perinatal education, in which the role of the instructor was analyzed, its importance was recognized, and by consensus among doctors and trainers, the instructor was granted with a new professional designation, the perinatal educator. On 1985, a group of Mexican instructors decided to contact the American Society of Psychoprophylaxis in Obstetrics, Lamaze, the world's leading authority on training childbirth educators. Our National Association of Psychoprophylaxis Instructors became Lamaze International first chapter. For us, all around the world, Lamaze has been a continuous source of inspiration. Attending Lamaze annual conferences, one can feel the strength and the unity among our American colleagues. We have listened to women as Elizabeth Bing, the founder of ASPO in the United States. She attends all the events and conventions. She has been to Mexico several times. She is around 90 years old and continues to teach couples in New York. She's a testimony of a woman committed to what she believes and teaches. Certainly, we all learn from examples like Elizabeth Bing's. In 1987, we constituted our National Association of Perinatal Psychoprophylaxis Instructors, ANIPP, as a civil association. During 27 years, our members and presidents have contributed with non-profit work and dedication, but most of all, with great affection for our profession. The list of our presidents is short, though their accomplishments are remarkable. Guadalupe Trueba was our first president, followed by Gaby Quinzaños, María Luisa Ruiz Díaz, Bárbara Boker, Celia Husny, Angélica Chávez, Loredana Gursa, and currently María Luisa Ruiz on a second term. ANIPP has organized several events and education conferences. We have brought renowned foreign and Mexican speakers and have made strategic alliances with universities, hospitals, and sponsors. We know that there's still much to be done. One of our main concerns in ANIPP is to promote the constant training and updating of perinatal educators, since we have to admit only a few medical doctors have supported us during all these years. How not to remind that Dr. Eduardo Jurado, along with Angélica Chávez, implemented psychoprophylaxis practice at the Mexican Institute of Perinatology, on Carlos Vargas, who was an enthusiastic promoter of this method to serve women. He, along with Dr. Jurado, made many changes in order to transform the maternal infant center Simigen into a teacher and research institution. Two remarkable teachers and colleagues have contributed with this important center, Alma Luz Garcia and Lucy Yescas. For it now trains obstetric nurses and midwives as childbirth educators. There was a turning point in the history of psychoprophylaxis in Mexico in the early 1990s. It happened when, as president of ANIPP, I found the means to have an interview with a highly respected immunologist, former director of the military hospital, Dr. Rafael Santana. He understood and trusted our work and introduced us to the military officials who opened many doors to the childbirth educators. Thanks to Dr. Santana, members of ANIPP were introduced to Dr. Ramon Celaya, who became a mentor and leader in a new phase of growth. Dr. Celaya's support, for instance, made it possible to organize its first international congress at the Central Military Hospital in Mexico City in 1991. The Congress gave an overview and an update of new developments in child delivery attendance. We invited Dr. Marsden Wagner, president of the World Health Organization, who wrote Pursuing the Birth Machine, an important book that elaborates on Dr. Odan's perspective about the industry of birth. We brought renowned international teachers as Penny Simkin, who has great experience on accompanying delivery and in perinatal education, and to hear and learn from Barbara Harper, the pioneer of water birth in the United States. I'm not mentioning many other people that also help us to learn and to extend our perspective in perinatal psychoprophylaxis. It was then that ANIPP had an unconditional support as never before from any doctor or hospital. Thank again to the Military Hospital and its director, Dr. Ramon Zelaya, for their trust on the members of ANIPP. As such, it left an historic mark a few years later. Dr. Zelaya created and directed a new women's specialties clinic. He inspired colleagues and disciples with his example. He made a difference for childbirth education in Mexico. For instance, since then and still today, students from Universidad Anáhuac perform their residence practices on these two military hospitals. Finally, aware that today childbirth educators work throughout all of Mexico, these are 7 brief ideas that have guided our process in ANIPP during 27 years. As childbirth educators, we provide couples with perinatal information, but more than ever, we care about nurturing both their training and their motivation to love each other and to work together with a baby before, during, and after delivery. Our training focuses on helping couples to learn about these processes and provide them with strategies and tools to cope with pregnancy, to manage birth, to understand postpartum, to learn how to breastfeed successfully, and to take care and raise well the baby together, dad and mom. As perinatal teachers, we have the great challenge of creating a women figure that is able to develop in all its breadth and in harmony the richness of feminism in every role and each of us play as wives, mothers, daughters, and as workers, surmounting the parameters of some of the current feminism stands. We recognize the need to help each other in order to be able to feel proud to be women anytime. We believe our life must have meaning and significance. We are aware that we are nurturing and living our femininity in a world which no longer requires women to be feminine, in societies that no longer value motherhood. We face the challenges of being mothers and to teach mothers to be. We care about our own integrity, and we know we are training women and men to integrate themselves with their unlimited potential, and in a world that certainly needs integrity. Women are called to humanize their surroundings and to care about all of our relations at the times we make work decisions. With our intuition as an intrinsic asset, women are able to reach the depths of human beings. We have a special ability to influence person to person. This is important, for every woman must count with the help of men, for his moral and material support help to fulfill her responsibilities, to be a wife, a mother, and a professional worker. We are aware that it is men who must change. It is men who need to seek complementarity with women. Change in men here and now will foster progress. And change in men is a factor that will definitively contribute to build a different society. One that is not only more modern, effective, but one that cares for all of our relations. A woman is characterized by the biological fact of being able to be a mother. We believe that this condition never undermines her, for motherhood exalts women, and this vision will help us today to rescue the family and humanity.